Hey everybody, this is Amit Ghodke. I'm a principal product manager architect within the Intune customer experience engineering team.
Hey everyone, I'm Lavanya Lakshman. I'm the Principal PM Manager leading the Copilot efforts for Intune team and super excited to be here and talking through all fun things about Copilot. All right. This is one of my favorite slides. I'm sure if any of you have been to my sessions in the past, you've heard me say this, but I love talking about this slide. The reason for that is it really talks about how IT and security empower one another in this holistic view of bringing all of these products together and catering to the various personas. Why is this important? If you consider and given environment, you want to ensure that you're not just looking at the endpoints, but you're also thinking about the security of the endpoints, right? Which is where bringing all of these data from the various one piece together in this view and making it available as part of the Copilot and for the large language models to summarize is a best way to think about the experience. Now, I'm not going to drain too much into this. We are going to keep all our focus into the Copilot in Intune experience. But what are some of the key things that we really want to talk about is more in line with some of the foundational things that we are doing, which is the responsible AI principles. Why don't we jump straight into what are those principles and why is it important for us to talk about these principles? One, you need to be assured that your data is your data and we are not leveraging your data to train the foundational AI models. That is extremely important for you all to feel safe as you are leveraging the Copilot experience. And also, the data is protected by the boundaries, and Copilot is not a backdoor entry to get access to other 1P product data if you do not have access to, right? So, which is where you can be assured that all of the experience that we are building keeps three foundational things in perspective. One is the security aspect of it. The next is the compliance and then the privacy, right? Ensuring that all of the RAI principles are well met and taken care of. Now, what are some of our design principles for Copilot, right? We are not coming up with any brand new product capability. What we are really focusing on is in your experience, in the interaction that you are having within the various workflows or the various Intune blades, how do we meet you where you are and really focus on simplifying the complexity. If let's say to be able to troubleshoot a device or to even identify what are the kind of insights I'm looking at as part of this troubleshooting experience, if let's say there is step 1 through step 10, how do we optimize and make it efficient for you by being able to ask the question as part of a natural language prompt, and the response is where you give the hard work for the large language model to really go behind the scenes, leverage the RAG, bring in all the context of your tenant and also the device under your tenant based on the roles that you play and provide those insights, right? Which is where it becomes helpful because admins are now able to focus on what's important and kind of really cutting through the noise. Now, there is another important four quadrant view that we have been talking about for the longest and we continue to talk about it. Why is this important is these are the four important aspects that a large language model is really good at, right? One being able to summarize across a variety of data, be it in terms of your targeting explanation or summarizing policies or as part of your on-prem to cloud migration. How do you really bring in all of those information together, summarize and say, okay, these are the suggestions for what next you need to do in a cloud native environment to keep your environment safe, right? So that could be one way to look at it. Or it could be asking questions. Let's say you've received real-time information of a given endpoint as part of the single device query. You want to be able to troubleshoot that device and also be able to understand, are there some best practices that I should be aware? Should I apply any additional policies on this device just based on the real-time information that I've gathered? It could be that aspect of the large language model that you want to capitalize on. Or it could be, very importantly, you want to create a quick exec summary on the landscape of your ecosystem and talk through the devices. And very soon we will be talking about Surface devices as well. And I'll touch upon this, where you want to say how many of these Surfaces devices are out of warranty, or provide guidance on the policies on those Surface devices. It could be any of those. But all of this still feels incomplete if you're not bringing the story together, which is where the act aspect of it becomes super critical. And one of the feedback that we have heard from all of you as our customers is, don't just tell us that this is what is the state. Tell us what next we need to do. How do we mitigate, or how do we remediate the ecosystem if, let's say, there is some kind of an exploit or some kind of a vulnerability the endpoints are under, right? So that's where this 4-quadrant view is great. Now, how does this translate into the IT lifecycle is something that you can see in this view, where in a day in a life of an IT admin, it can be starting from anywhere from planning and deploying an update, or being able to manage a given set of devices, which could be on a completely different platform, or having to troubleshoot and support real time. Or you are more looking at forward-looking situation where you want to really analyze the trends of the endpoints within your environment and think through what are the kind of optimization you want to apply, right? Which is where we elevate you of some of those brain power, and we look at the data with the help of Copilot and provide you with some of the optimizations and efficiencies that you can incorporate. Now, again, the beauty of bringing all of these 1P products together is we also talk through the governance and security aspect of it, which is where all of the 5 aspects that we have called out on the right side of this view is where Copilot really becomes a great assistant. Now, this is all great introduction of what Copilot can do. But how does this translate into the product capabilities, what we are going to see next? So these are the capabilities that's currently available within Intune. And I'm not necessarily going to go deep dive into each of these just yet, but we will take one at a time and do a deep dive. Now, let's understand more about Copilot with Endpoint Privilege Management, where Amit will walk us through some of the details around this capability and also a quick demo following this feature. Over to you, Amit.
Thank you so much, Lavanya. Let's take a look at what are we bringing with Endpoint Privilege Management and the new Copilot experience within Intune. For those of you that may not have heard of Endpoint Privilege Management, or very fondly known as EPM, it's a capability that's available with the Intune Suite license and provides you with the ability to run a standard environment across your Windows estate that are managed by Intune. With Endpoint Privilege Management and the new Copilot experience, we're bringing you the ability to identify different vulnerabilities during the support approved workflow and be able to take a decision on whether to approve or deny these requests. A lot of times during the workflow, with end users downloading multiple applications from the internet or getting them from other places and requesting for elevation and installation, it becomes extremely hard for the IT admin to be able to understand and figure out if any of these applications would be potentially vulnerable. So let's take a look at the demo and see it in action. Here, I've got a Windows device, and as always, this user was sitting at home and they wanted to zip some of their files and send it over. So they went to the internet and they thought that there is a great application, which is potentially the one that they thought, and went ahead and downloaded it. Now, they're not aware if this application is vulnerable or not. With Endpoint Privilege Management deployed, you have the ability to request the elevation through the support approved workflow. And this is exactly what is happening right now. And the end user would then provide the justification for the request, and the request will now be sent over to Intune. The IT admin can go into the elevation request, look at the elevation request, and decide whether they want to approve or deny this particular request. Now, if you look at the hash, I have no idea whether this is a real deal or not. So I can leverage upon Copilot and use Copilot to analyze the hash by virtue of leveraging the power of Defender threat intelligence and help the IT admin decide if this application is worth approving or not. In this particular case, you can see that the application is vulnerable and I can instantly go ahead and deny this particular request. This saves the admin and the end user time, effort, ensures that the environment is secure, and allows everybody to stay secured. I'm going to hand over to Lavanya to walk us through the surface management experience within Copilot.
Thank you, Amit. That was a great walkthrough of Copilot for EPM and what really we could do, and how anytime an app is really requested for elevation, how IT admins really do not need to spend so much of time trying to figure out what are the potential vulnerabilities behind the scenes, which is where I think this is a great capability. Now, let's deep dive a little more into Surface devices. Now, you could ask me, oh, what is the difference? Like, Surface devices is like any other physical devices, because in the past we have spoken about physical devices and cloud PC devices. But yes, there are certain uniqueness and there are certain characteristics that's very, very specific to Surface devices. What are those? Now, before we get into deep dive, there are aspects of the devices where there are few of the functionalities which is similar to what you potentially would do with a physical or a cloud PC devices, which could be troubleshooting or understanding more about the insights. But what is more unique here is the rollback or the roles or the permissions that is very specific to these set of devices, or the characteristics and properties of these devices, which is where Copilot really plays a very key role, where you don't need to spend a lot of time trying to understand which setting to go in and find all of these information. Just ask that information to Copilot, right? And again, you are not being asked to provide any technical specification. Use the power of natural language. Ask your question. Oh, give me all the information related to the set of devices within a specific geography, and also tell me how many of those are getting close to the warranty expiration date. It lists all of those set of devices. That helps you kind of leverage the information and share it with your procurement team where they can take actions, right? Now, let's do one deep dive double click into each of these experiences, where it could be you're trying to uncover the insights that is being presented, where it could be these are the 5 or 6 devices that is getting close to out of compliance, or these are the 5 or 6 devices which is reaching the warranty expiration that I was calling out before. How do we ensure that we are not getting to a non-compliant state and proactively taking actions so that the system is, one, not only just going into a non-compliant state or potentially having a performance degradation? How do we help take the right kind of decision in a timely manner ahead of time, is where all of these experiences kind of comes together, and AI helps us in this journey. Now, what are some of the scope prompting experience that you're all familiar with as part of the Copilot in Intune capabilities is what we will be quickly talking about, right? Again, you are very familiar with the sidecar experience, where as part of these experiences, you will be talking about understanding any of the existing prompts that is presented to you. You get the best job of picking up from those prompts that have been thought through based on your feedback, is where we have curated these scope prompts and made it available within the product. You select any of these existing prompts, and one, not only do you get a response back for the prompt that has been selected, which is what we will be seeing in the next slide, but you also are presented with a set of curated prompts as well. This is where the curated set of prompts at the bottom of the sidecar experience kind of helps you start thinking through what are the follow-up conversational interaction you would like to have with Copilot. Again, remember that you are still in the pilot seat. You are deciding what are those questions that you would like to ask as part of the business workflow that you have in mind. And eventually, at some point in time, when we talk about the actionability aspect of it, where can you kind of bring all of these together as part of a specific deterministic workflow? We will talk about that in some of the future sessions, right? Now, Keying in all of this information about the information related to the troubleshooting outcomes, what are the potential insights and the recommendation is what the next view talks about, where you get a quick, specific, targeted insights and recommendation. And this recommendation kind, depending on the flow that you are going after, the suggested prompts can be different and helping you take the right set of actions. Again, when you look at the UX coherence here, we really have given it a lot of thought, right? There is no disparity in terms of the experiences that you have previously been introduced to or familiar with. It's just a seamless continuation of the newer capabilities that we continue to add, be it the Copilot for endpoint privilege management or Copilot for surface management experiences, right? Now, these are the more recent capabilities that we have launched or in the process of launching and have just announced. But you would also want to have a sneak peek into some of the capabilities that we announced during the course of last year. That'll be very, very critical to some of the experiences and the management journey that you have as part of securing the endpoints. Now, let's understand what Copilot into single device query is, where real-time information plays a very key role. With that, let's hear Amit talk through the details of the Copilot into single device query. And do I really need to be a pro at KQL creation? Do I really need to know KQL, or Copilot can help me in this journey? Let's understand more about it.
Thank you so much, Lavanya. Let's dive into the latest experience that we have released across Copilot into Intune. Copilot into single device query experience allows you to translate natural language business intent questions into KQL expressions. With single device query, you get the ability to gather real-time data and insights across devices that are managed with Intune. Let's just face it, this feature does require you to know KQL expressions. With Copilot into single device query experience, we're making it extremely easy for any admin to translate those natural language questions into actual KQL expressions. So let's take a look at how exactly does this feature work. In this particular example, we're going to show you a troubleshooting scenario where we are trying to remote into a device. However, for whatever reason, the device is not responding. Now, there could be multiple reasons as to why this is happening, but one of the things that I can think of was there was a recent change into the port because of security requirement. So I want to make sure that the port number that I'm trying is potentially the same, and I can do that by leveraging single device query. So let's go ahead and see how this looks like in action. You would open the device query blade and then go to query with Copilot and ask the natural language question, show me the RDP port configured in registry on this particular device. Now you will notice that Copilot understands registry, Copilot understands RDP, and it provides you with contextual information that is absolutely associated with the various properties built into device query itself. One of the big things about this is that it provides you the information on how exactly is this query created, and then you can go ahead and add that into the console and execute upon it. You will very quickly see that the response brings back that the port is 3389, and now I can go ahead and do and take my troubleshooting steps that are beyond the actual port check itself. So with this, it saves you time, it gets you onto the right path, it helps you draft these queries in a matter of seconds and makes you a hero. One of the other things that we have released, and it's also available in public preview, is the policy management experience. With the policy management experience, you have the ability to gain deeper insights, be able to predict the policy impacts, be able to understand conflicts. Why? Let's face it. Pretty much everybody that is watching this particular video in some shape or form has to manage policies, has either created policies or edited policies or deleted policies, or been in a situation where they created the policies only to realize that their colleague might have also created a similar policy with a similar setting with a similar value and may or may not have caused conflicts based on the assignments that they have delivered. So let's see how Copilot and Intune simplifies policy management experience and helps you streamline your policy infrastructure. In this particular demo, we're looking at a policy that has been created and edited very recently. It's a security related policy which has various different settings, and me as a new admin has no idea on what's going on. So the very first thing that I want to do is being able to understand what the policy brings, the impact, and so on and so forth. When you start off with Copilot and Intune experience, you're greeted with this banner that exposes both the policy and troubleshooting experiences. And you can click on the policy management blade or directly land into the configuration profiles blade, select the policy, and then leverage upon the scope from Summarize with Copilot. As you can see, when I hit Summarize with Copilot, behind the scenes, we're leveraging the power of Security Copilot. We're summarizing all of the settings that are associated within this particular policy and displaying that on your screen. It provides you with accurate, contextual, summarized information along with the assignment information and various other details that are immensely helpful and valuable for the admin and help the admin understand the policies more. Now I'm diving into one of the settings and I want to learn and understand more about this particular setting. The setting is allow cloud protection and there is an associated value. Now I could have gone to the internet and learned about this particular setting or read about it, but that would take me time. With Copilot and Intune tooltip experience, we get a summarized, contextual, accurate result and view of what this policy setting does, what is the impact, how can I actually go ahead and leverage upon this policy? But more importantly, I want to make sure that I'm not going to cause any conflict. So I have a set of prompts that I can go ahead and leverage. I'm going to go ahead and use, has this setting been configured in any other policies to understand if there are any conflicts or there are any other settings that may have been created across various policies. Copilot then goes ahead and summarizes across the entire policy landscape, figures out how many other policies may have this particular setting, what are the values associated with them, and provides you with a link to actually go to these policies so then you can ensure that you're not going to cause any conflicts and remove some of these conflicts that may have happened because of others delivering similar settings and similar policies. You can also go ahead and ask Copilot to give you more information about the impact of the policies from both the user and the security standpoint. And it's available for you to leverage upon today. Let's take a look at what do we have with Copilot and Intune experience from a troubleshooting perspective. With Copilot and Intune troubleshooting scenarios, we provide you the ability to summarize the devices, be able to compare the devices, be able to understand the error codes, be able to figure out what policies and apps have been deployed to devices. Because let's face it, even though you may have the best of the Intune environment, there are situations where you have to do some form of troubleshooting. In this particular demo, there is an exec that has been using a device that was working. They went into a presentation, they picked up another device that was given to them, and suddenly some of the elevations did not work. So that raised an immediate call, and now somebody needs to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on and why things are not working. With Copilot and Intune, you can get into the troubleshooting experience by either clicking on the troubleshooting blade that is visible at the home page or directly go into the device itself. And when you select a particular device, you would start to see the Copilot experiences light up. I'm going to start with summarizing the device and understanding the details around who the primary user of this device is, when did they last log on, what apps and policies have been assigned to this particular device, what is the hardware of these devices, and just kind of get me up to speed about all of the information and insights about this device itself. Now, now that I've understood the details about this device, I want to quickly go ahead and leverage upon Copilot to compare these two devices that are behaving differently for policies. Because that could be one of the reasons as to why I'm seeing the differences in the experiences. Sure enough, Copilot goes ahead and summarizes the data set across these two devices and provides me with a comprehensive, detailed information about the differences in the policies. As you can look through the screen, I can see that sure enough, there is a difference in the EPM policies that have been deployed to these two devices. Me, as an IT admin or a help desk user, can now go ahead and take appropriate action against the assignments for those policies and help the exec fix the issue, and they are on their way. So you can see how Copilot in Intune provides you the ability across a broad spectrum of Intune management experience, from surface management to endpoint privilege management to policy management to device query experience to troubleshooting, and more are coming in the future. Thank you so much, everybody. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Lavanya to bring us to a close.
Thank you so much, Amit. That was a great walkthrough on policy and troubleshooting. I hope you all enjoyed looking into some of the newer capabilities that we have introduced in our Intune experience, or some of the experiences that we have made it available as part of some of the important launches through the course of last year. But again, here is what I'm going to say. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. And we are always eager to hear from you in terms of your feedback, in terms of the questions or some of the scenarios that you think you would like to see within the embedded experience, and we have not spoken about it. We are all ears and eager to understand more about it. So please feel free to leverage the chat or the Q&A option to provide more information, and we will get in touch with you. With that, thank you so much, everyone, wherever you're joining us from, and have a good rest of your day, evening, or night, and see you again in the next session. Thank you.